This video is sponsored by Foco, one of the world's most prominent manufacturers of apparel, toys, and accessories, licensed by all of the major sports leagues. And to celebrate the final season of Game of Thrones, they've put together several MLB crossover bobbleheads, which are available for pre-order right now. Be sure to use the promo code THRONES15 for 15% off your order of 3 or more. What's going on, everyone? Nick here, back with HN Entertainment's review of Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 4. So before we get into the review, I'm obviously going to recap the biggest moments of the episode in full spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, go check out the episode and come back to this video. But without further ado, here we go. So the episode opens right up with the dead being buried after the Battle of Winterfell from last week's climactic showdown. Dany also names Gendry a true Baratheon and the Lord of Storm's End. There's also another bit between Dany and Jon in which Dany tries to convince Jon not to tell anyone about his true heritage, which is still an ongoing thing within the show because certain people know, certain people don't know, and the big thing is that Jon wants to tell his family, Sansa and Arya, who he really is, but Dany thinks that if they find out, things are just gonna get bad for them. We also continue the trend of Dany and Sansa really hating each other and trying to kind of outdo each other with every moment. Ultimately though, Jon prevails, and Bran tells Arya and Sansa the truth about Jon's heritage. One plot thread that does get fulfilled this episode is Bronn coming in to threaten both Jaime and Tyrion after what Cersei promised him, which is essentially a castle with his own slaves and everything, but Tyrion sweetens the deal and promises him Highgarden in exchange for their lives. Towards the midpoint of the episode, Jon forms a battle plan with Daenerys and the other council, and they decide to head north even though Dany's army is pretty fatigued after that big battle at Winterfell. Basically, Jon decides to go to King's Landing against the wishes of Tormund, but he leaves Tormund Ghost, his direwolf, who will be better off up north. Now, one of the biggest moments of this episode was Ragel getting killed by Euron in a surprise ambush as her armies are heading towards King's Landing via the sea. At that point, their crew and the ships get destroyed, and a lot of them are marooned, with Missandei getting captured by Euron and taken back to Cersei. Throughout this episode, once Varys finds out the truth about Jon, he tries to secretly plot against Dany and talk to Tyrion behind her back and basically tell him that Jon is better fit to rule over Dany, to which Tyrion really doesn't want to hear that. Another big character moment this episode was the fact that Jaime actually reveals that he's going back to King's Landing to protect Cersei after he finds out the outcome of the secret ambush in which one of the dragons was killed, and basically Dany is hellbent on killing Cersei. It's kind of a sad moment because Jaime reveals that, this whole time, even through all of what he's faced and what Cersei has done to him, he still truly loves her deep down more than anything, and he actually kind of leaves Brienne crying at that moment. The episode ends with Dany, Tyrion, and a small army arriving at the gates to King's Landing while Cersei holds Missandei captive, and they're basically trying to plead with Cersei to surrender, but there's a big shocker. Missandei is executed, and that's how the episode ends. So, from what I can gather of the show's final direction, I really don't know how to feel about it. On the one hand, I understand that this show is all about turning what you expect upside down, but I felt like this direction has betrayed certain character growth, and I'm kind of disappointed that Jaime is going back to Cersei and that Missandei and Rhaegal were both killed off. Personally, I think Varys is right and Jon would be a much better ruler, but I don't know, there's some parts of this episode that just really didn't work for me, on a character level. Based on how this episode ended though, I'm guessing the last two are going to be a big bloodbath. Overall, I'm kind of mixed. I liked certain elements, I really didn't like a lot of other elements. But what did you guys think? Post your thoughts down below, and for more on Game of Thrones and everything pop culture, be sure to subscribe to HN Entertainment.